on April 6th, correct?
It does not.
It's included in here, shall extend until 11:59.
I thought we were going to make it effective of the,
April 6th is the
The
effective
seventh.
date of the executive order
okay,
issued by the
so we're
governor.
going to model it off the executive order date.
Yep, and
So-
then, so the commission will have the opportunity, the way that it's drafted, to extend it if you choose to do so by
Okay.
an additional resolution, or if the governor were to issue an executive order extending that April 6th deadline, you
Okay.
could also do the same and follow suit.
Could we add a statement now that said on this date, or, because I'm pretty sure that's going to get extended.
Earliest
And
of.
I think,
I think it's going to get extended too. I think that's why we had that discussion earlier, that it would go as long as the executive order from the governor. But, I mean, I'm fine with the date in there too, so, but we could also add the statement, if it extends, if the governor extends his executive order.
just think the next time we will meet is the 7th, so essentially, we would be catching it on the day it expired, so it wouldn't probably hurt anything if we did that.
Mr. President, Commissioners, it's completely up to you. I can run it concurrent with the executive order if that's what you choose to do. So if the governor extends that order, then this would by default extend itself as well, so.
I think that's what we should do, just because if we're only meet a day after, so there's no confusion that all of a sudden they have to stop, and we don't meet till 4 o'clock, so then they have to stop at, their sales on that day at noon and wait for us at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I think it should run with the governor's executive order.
I would agree. Need that in the form of motion.
Yes, I think once you pass the resolution with that change,
Okay.
Okay.
that would be the motion.
What's the resolution number?
It is 12-2020.
I move to approve resolution 12-2020 with the amendment that we just discussed.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution 12-2020 with the amendment.
Second.
And a second. Any further questions for staff? Any comments? Mr. Frederick, any comments?
Nope, I'm good. I've been listening, so
Okay.
everything sounds good to me. Thank you.
Okay, yep. Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Trustum?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries for resolution 12-2020. Mr. Gah, you, next is a report on the city's virus response.
Yes, I think just, thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. I think to just continue, this is something we're trying to keep you up on through daily emails and these types of special meetings. But I think it's a good time that we're here to really discuss really what we're doing. And when I talk about the city, there's really two things that we talk about. We're the city as an employer, as a business, so to speak, with buildings. And then we're a governmental entity with citizens. And those are really two separate things when we talk about it. So we'll first start talking about what we've done as a city employer organization. We have limited buildings to our public access, much like most governmental entities across the country have done. That has been working fairly well, we think. We've set up some alternatives for that. It's worked fairly well. We've also early on implemented some pretty aggressive procedures in how to deal with folks that have been traveling, if they were showing signs of illness, and creating some very forgiving policies that allow us to make the choice and not penalize the employee if they're staying at home, and not making them use their leave, being a little flexible for those that are having some daycare issues, that might have sick children. We've found out a lot about our employees and some of the issues they might be dealing with, illnesses with themselves and their family members, and we've been very accommodating to that. I think we've been very good. We're probably at the point now we're talking about, even this morning, we were talking about what's the next steps. There are 2 cases locally now in Stark County, three this morning.
I was just going to make that announcement, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so that starts to think about how do we expand. We've talked about, do we say employees are going to work at home? Really one thing we talked about today is we have a pretty interesting split in that probably this building Most of the folks in this building probably could be seen as what the categories might be, somewhat non-essential. But when you talk about public works, public safety, those are definitely the essential employees. Some of us in this building would be considered essential employees too. So how does that work? And those sort of things. So we've talked about maybe some reductions of, do we have half the staff in City Hall work one week and half the other week to kind of curb that prevention and really give people some time to really take care of themselves? Is that an option? We've started just, again, this morning, our staff meeting started that discussion and how that might go. Or do we need to say everybody's going to work from home at City Hall? Do we take some extra precautions in the public safety and the public works? I tend to think that as the virus starts to spread in our community, folks in the essential services that might come down with the virus is probably the best way to thin our workforce temporarily, rather than being too proactive and then being short-serviced out there. I think we'd be really conservative with getting too aggressive there. Those are the things we've talked about as an organization. But then as a city, and I know you folks are getting calls on this, do we take more aggressive action? We've been following the governor's protocol. If that gets more aggressive, do we continue to follow it? If it doesn't, do we get ahead of it? And those are just the discussions that we'd like to have with you and see what your thoughts are on any of this.
Mr. Goff, City of Dickinson employees fall in line with the FMLA extension, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we have that protection. I've been following what other communities are doing. I know the City of Bismarck just recently sent their non-essential staff home with the promise to continue to pay them from the budget. I don't know if the commission is there with those thoughts, but I agree that employees are one of your most valuable resources, and we need to make sure that we are respecting their health and also respecting their dedication to the City of Dickinson. I don't know if we're, like I said, if we're there yet, but I want to make sure that we have protections in place to reassure they have a place here in the city.
I think keep monitoring, and when we have a situation come up, we nip it right then and there and as fast as we can.
I think the city staff, I've been involved every morning with the executive team, the calls. We are being as fluid as possible, and I think the city staff and leadership is doing an excellent job of monitoring their individuals and accommodating the individuals to make sure that their health is a priority, and that our services to the citizens is our number one concern. To that, I was going to make a statement here just to the citizens of Dickinson and surrounding area. I feel at this time we do not warrant an executive order as much as other cities have. An executive order to stay at home or shelter in place. But I would ask that the citizens understand that our situation will change day to day. And as the COVID-19 patients increase, we will have to make some hard decisions at one point. And that may come in the form of an executive order to stay at home or shelter in place. But at this time, I would just ask you to stay in your home and practice social distancing. And if you must travel outside, let it be only for obtaining food or other household necessities and going to and from work because you are a critical or essential employee. If you are seeking medical care, yes, travel outside your home. If you are caring for dependents or vulnerable people that are at other locations, please do so, but do so with care. And if you are participating in outdoor activities such as exercise, because it is essential to your mental health and your physical health, do so by practicing the social distancing of 6 feet and staying away from other parties. I would just ask that at this time. We are dealing with a situation, as you just heard, we have another case reported, so we're up to 3, and that'll come out in the governor's statement, I'm sure, at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock our time, and it's going to continue to change. This is something we're gonna have to deal with for the next couple of weeks to months, and we just have to take care of each other and just practice the social distancing and the cleaning of the items that you're touching on a regular basis. We will, as a city staff, keep all essential services running. I will turn it over to Chief Dossinger. I know he had a statement he wanted to say.
I guess in an essence, basically since last week, Monday, March 16th, we basically had a scaled-down version of an EOC at the Public Safety Center in which the mayor has regularly visited and the city administrator. And we've have had numerous conference calls on a daily basis with other department heads within the city of Dickinson, the executive team, and also on a weekly basis with the leadership team. We have reached out to various community leaders in the group. The educators, for example, be one group. We've had weekly communication with the educators, all the schools, including DSU and Head Start, the high schools, so that's been established. We also have twice daily communication, or if needed more, communication with the healthcare officials. That includes the nursing homes, the hospitals, the Dickinson Ambulance Service. So we've got that flow of communication going. We also had a call on a weekly basis with the suppliers, the product suppliers, our grocery stores, the Menards and the Runnings of our community. So that communication is ongoing. We also have had communication with public transit, Prairie Hills Mall, and other groups in our community. So we're making sure that we hear their needs, and if there's anything that we can assist them in these trying times, that we're able to do that. As the mayor had mentioned, this is a very fluid situation from day to day, and it certainly dictates how we react. Public safety, police, and fire, we're firing on all cylinders. We haven't deviated from responding to any type of calls. We are taking proactive measures to protect our staff, make sure that they wear their PPE gear, and we're basically, filtering more calls. If there's more calls that we can handle over the phone, we're doing that, so we don't have that contact with the public, unnecessary contact. We're making sure that we practice social distancing whenever we can, and encourage the community to practice that. Introverts in our community have been practicing that for years, so hopefully that continues. So, but open to any questions from the commissioners as far as public safety response or anything we're doing in regards to that.
One of the other groups that we are also in contact with is the county, and that includes the sheriff and the county commissioners. They have their chairman and one of their commissioners on a conference call with us. So we're working, Chief Dossinger's keeping a constant flow of conference calls going out at the Public Safety Center, so everybody's kind of in the loop. And I know sometimes as commissioners you feel out of the loop, but we're trying to keep you as in the loop as we can allowed by the meeting laws. So, and hopefully Mr. Gau's updates on a daily basis are helpful. But it is a very fluid situation, and I hope that there are not a spike in the cases that are reported here, but as the nation continues to struggle with this, I think we're going to see a few more cases in our area too. And people should not just, panic over the lack of us shutting the city down. We still have to conduct business. So,
Chief, when you transport someone in the back of a police car, are they disinfected after every transport?
Yes, we do have a decontamination process in place, a procedure, so our officers are not only decontaminating themselves, but also the squad cars and taking those proactive measures.
they're burning through some product.
Which they should.
Yeah. Any other questions for myself or Chief Dossinger or Mr. Gau?
Nothing here, thanks.
And like I said, just for the citizens of Dickinson, just take care of one another, practice good social distancing, travel only when you need to, and we will get through this. If there are no questions or comments, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn, a second. We are adjourned.